Hey, what's going on, Remelons people? So, I told you a couple of videos ago that I was going to do sort of a breakdown of a UBI kind of debate that I saw on a very popular show that I follow myself called The Hill Rising. Um, and they're definitely a fair and balanced progressive show. But they had a segment where they were talking about UBI. And I was going to comment on it because I found it very interesting. And I also have questions for you, the Yang Gang. As a Bernie supporter, I have questions about the UBI program. And listen, a couple of the guests they had on The Hill were kind of, in a sense, in a way, I don't want to say bashing it, but they were kind of just like, yeah, that's cute. You know what I mean? Like, great idea. I see you're doing something different, kind of thing. They're like, great idea, you're doing something different, but yeah, it's not practical, not going to happen. So I do have some questions for the people who support UBI. I think UBI, from what I know on the surface, is a good idea. And I actually choose that over Bernie's federal jobs guarantee. Which, don't get me wrong, they shit on Bernie's federal jobs guarantee as well. You know, he presents that, they shit on it. Andrew Yang presents UBI, they shit on it. So, no matter what you propose, unless it's the status quo, they're not going to fuck with it anyways. But, I do have some questions for you because they bring up some points, and anybody that is for UBI or happens to be in the Yang Gang, if you have the answers to said questions or statements that they bring up, please let me know in the comment section your rebuttal. I'm very curious. So I'm going to start it off, and you're going to watch a clip, and then we're going to come back.
Gentlemen, great to see you. So we've got some new polling on UBI that was pretty interesting from our sister show here, What America's Thinking, if we can throw it up. We polled on UBI back in February, and then we polled on it today. And you can see that the percent of the public in favor of a UBI program has gone up pretty significantly here, a 6-point jump over the course of those months. Stephen, what do you think we can attribute that to?
Well, I have some concerns with how the questioning was phrased, but I think one of the high-level points is that you can say that one of the areas of income inequality is still an issue that is pervasive among the populace. Now, when it gets
There's
to
a new report that came out today, highest
got
level
higher
in
ever.
50 years.
Our Gini
but when you get into the specifics of UBI and whether or not that's supported, it's a lot to unpack. So, even under Yang's proposal, the follow-up question in a poll would have to be, are you okay with ratcheting back some government services? Are you okay with an additional 10% tax?
Right.
Are you okay with changing the way things are funded? And I think that when you ask follow-up questions, maybe those numbers move a little bit.
Okay, so they start off with a poll, and the poll shows that the numbers that are in favor of UBI has increased, right? It's generally headed in a better direction. More people are on board with UBI, and that's a good thing, right? For anybody that's in the Yang Gang, for anybody, you don't necessarily have to be in the Yang Gang to support UBI. Again, I'm a Bernie supporter, but I do like the idea of UBI. Got me? So anybody that is in support of UBI, seeing this poll is a good thing. Now, the gentleman speaking, right, immediately off the bat, is kind of like, right? He's not all in. He's not excited that this poll is showing the numbers that it's showing. Now, I'm going to be fair and balanced. What he's saying isn't necessarily incorrect. Well, serious, what do you mean? What I mean is, when you do ask follow-up questions or when you frame things differently, the results can vary. For example, when they ask people about Medicare for all, right? Most people, right, are for it. If you look at the polls, most people are for Medicare for all, full stop. Now, when you add context to it, it changes the results of the Medicare for All. When you add sort of a right-wing framing to it or a corporate Democrat framing to it, and then when you add even more context, it goes back up. So when you tell them, you know, they throw in a right-wing framing to it, and then when you reaffirm or reiterate, but hey, look, you get to keep your doctor and you know, the physician that you are used to seeing, etc., it goes back up. So the fact that he's presenting this saying, you know, the poll is fine, but when you add more context to it, the numbers may shift. That's not necessarily inaccurate, right? So I'm not going to come for his neck for saying that, because in a sense you could just be being thorough, right? And again, when you add context to different questions, the results may vary. But this is how we're starting it off, okay? This is the immediate reaction that we have from the gentleman in the panel reacting to this poll. So we're going to watch a little bit more, and then we're going to come back.
Register, one of the least popular proposals. I mean, this in our latest poll does show almost entirely because of Andrew Yang, the rise in this. But on a policy level,
people even know what it is.
People even know what it is and are willing to entertain it. On a policy level, what do you think, Tom? I have a lot of reservations. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a bad idea on a policy level. Finland had the biggest experiment really doing it, and it just didn't effectively
What does that mean?
Like, well, so they did a universal basic income trial. There was very marginal impact in terms of people pursuing sort of economic dynamic actions rather than just pocketing the money and you know, spending it as we would spend our money as disposable income. The broader point as well, though, if you change that poll question to say, and are you willing to pay X amount more in taxes to pay for this, I think those numbers would drop very significantly.
So hold on, I want to just, on the results that we've seen in the real world, Canada did a trial, and what they found is that people stayed in school longer. They invested in their own education. They invested in their kids' education. So there was some working less, but it was so that parents could stay home with their children, which I think is an unequivocally good thing. So it wasn't like people just like sat on the couch and ate Cheetos. That wasn't what was found at all. Health outcomes improved and education outcomes improved. We did studies also here in the U.S., actually under the Nixon administration of all things. They found similar results. There's a Native American tribe in the U.S. that was receiving you know, payments from a casino, and they found similar education benefits. They found health benefits. So the research that's out there thus far points to positive impact. Now, I think
oh man, so Cigar, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Cigar. You know, he asked the panel what they think of UBI, and he says he has reservations about it. And Tom Rogan, no relation to Joe Rogan, immediately tells you he thinks it's a bad idea. And again, he hammers home, if you were to add context to the poll question, would the results be the same? And he says it drops. And then he comments that they tried UBI in another place and that the results were abysmal. So he immediately shows what side he's on as far as UBI goes, and then presents facts or statistics as to why he's opposed to it. And Crystal motherfucking Ball, the most progressive person on the Hill Rising, cuts a swath through his argument. I mean, shing, like, actually, sir, my good sir, right? And then she presents facts and data to counteract what he said. Now, here's my issue with what Tom is saying. Tom's not stupid. Do I know Tom personally? I don't know Tom personally. Tom doesn't know me. But I can look at Tom and I can listen to Tom, and I know Tom knows of the other studies that are similar to UBI that was done. He specifically chose one that was in the favor of what he was already thinking, i.e. working backwards from his own conclusion. I don't like UBI. I'm going to choose this one study to back up, you know, how I feel about UBI. And then Krista was like, well, you know, there are more studies that have been done with a UBI like system, and here are the results. And they were positive. She actually brought more positive results to the table than this guy's negative results, if you will. So I just found that very interesting. That, you know, the two guys on the panel that are there on the right now, I'm telling you right now, it's all three of them versus Christo defending UBI. That's what this is going to be. That's what this is going to turn into, because they're not taking UBI serious, right? So let's continue
with our existing social safety net.
And it's, I mean, are you going to target to particular demographics, or is it going to be across the board?
Right.
Because that would be...
It's got to be across the board.
If it's
There's a universality, because here's what happens
lawyer
politically.
math, that's what, $2.4 to $3 trillion annually?
Politically, and you know this is the case, the moment that you turn something into means tested, it becomes welfare. My friends on the right demonize it as only for those people, and it's killed. That's why Social Security is so popular, because it's universal. That's why Medicare is so popular. The minute you undercut the universality of a program, it is politically dead.
So, great point by Crystal here. Very good point, right? UBI's got to be for pretty much everyone, because if you nitpick people, they're gonna come at your neck, right? They're gonna like you're picking and choosing people. It's got to be universal, and you can't let it turn into a welfare-esque idea, because once it's looked at as a welfare kind of idea, nobody's gonna fuck with it. The Republicans are not going to fuck with it. Corporate Dems are not going to fuck with it for the most part. There's sort of a stigma when somebody is on a welfare-esque system, and there's just so many stigmas. There's so many stigmas, and you don't want it to be looked at as a kind of welfare-esque system. You know, so good point by Crystal.
About the politics of it. I'm just talking about the dollars and cents. So if you're assuming that's being attributed to everyone who's at 18 and over, then you're talking between $2 and $3 trillion annually, which at this point would be about, what, half our annual budget, which we're running at about almost $1 billion deficit to begin with. So I know under the Yang's proposal, he talks about, well, you're going to create this economically, and we're going to make some cuts here, and then we're going to have the 10% tax. But I think there's still a lot of questions that fix out, and I don't see how it happens without ballooning the deficit.
Well, that's the question. I mean, that's what Tom raises with this Finland activity. Oh, is it really enough amount of money in order to create any activity? Now, I think that you're right, that yes, we've seen investment in education, investment, or people willing to stay home. But that can also be through distributed benefits in the tax code. It doesn't have to be a universal basic income.
So, boom, here we are. So, for the people that are for UBI, for the people that are in the Yang Gang, right, this is one of the arguments that I hear from people that are against universal basic income. And quite frankly, I'm leaving it up to you to answer this question, okay? I know I get a lot of Yang supporters on my channel, right? And so I'm asking you guys, when they present to you this argument, what do you say? Seriously, I really want to know, because I'm for the idea of universal basic income. And if I'm debating with someone, or if I'm conversing as someone as an adult about politics, and they say something like about the deficit and what Cigar said, what is your rebuttal? And I want facts. I don't want opinions. Present me with facts, because opinions, like assholes, everybody's got one. Give me facts as to what I can state to rebuttal anybody when they present this to me, because this is not the first time I've heard this. Okay, this is not the first time I've heard this. And look, Crystal right now is literally on her own. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is not an attack on the Hill. For the most part, they are a true progressive channel, and they are like the adults in the room. All right, I've heard people say the new TYT and things like that, and I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. So let me know in the comment section what your rebuttal would be to these statements. Let's continue.
But UBI
I
is
think
the
that's-
least, but it's the least paternalistic way of helping people.
Yeah.
It's a fundamentally conservative idea, which is why it is supported by a lot of
It's a libertarian,
libertarians.
actually.
Of basically like, look, you need more money. Here's more money. We trust you to do with it what would be best, rather than saying, okay, you have this amount to buy this thing. We're going to give you a voucher here. We're going to give you a tax cut here. Just like, no, here. We trust you for your own life to make the best decisions.
But it's ultimately redistributed money, right? And you could make I would make the case that why is the success of the American economy predicated on capitalism? It's because we have a risk premium on investment. So the people who are taking risks with their own money and succeeding are the ones best placed to do it.
But look at where we are. I mean, Amazon paying $0 in tax. I mean, the system we have is insane.
Well, that's tax reform, isn't it?
Yeah,
and then you have,
exactly.
but then you look down the road and you see the fact the top 3 most common jobs in the country: cashier, fast food worker, and retail sales clerk, all low paid, all in danger of being automated and out of existence. And you say, well, what do we do? How do we transition? How do you make sure people can survive? How do you make sure they have meaning and dignity in their life now?
Right. Well,
And this is why I come to you guys, because look, Crystal's trying here. She's trying. Do you see her? She's trying. She's trying her best. She's outnumbered right now. And then her co-host Cigar is kind of in the background like, yeah, exactly. When Tom or Steven speaks, Cobb, yeah. Oh, education. Like, she's presenting her opinion, and they are stepping on her neck. She's trying her hardest, and they ain't trying to hear it, and she's presenting, facts like, hey, these are the 3 most popular jobs, et cetera, and there's like education, and well, Amazon's not paying any taxes, and they're like, oh, that's taxable. Like, they are cutting her down. I mean, she's holding her own. Don't get me wrong. She's holding her own, but it's not breaking through. Like, she hasn't landed like that, like, blow where you say something and it's like, yeah, I guess I gotta shut the fuck up about that. That's not happening again. So for what they're saying, for their rebuttals to Crystal, let me know in the comment section how to cut a swath through their arguments. Let's continue.
And that's it. And that it's also, it gives workers power, because they know they can leave their shitty job and not die. I mean, seriously, if you're a creative and you can earn part of your money from your enterprise but not all of it, it just gives people options and flexibility. I personally think that and a federal jobs guarantee are both, ideas that need to be supported. I think we have a cultural sort of obsession with work and a religion of work that's very hard to get away from. To me, that's the most problematic part of UBI, but I think we all have to give Andrew Yang credit for forcing this debate and putting it on the table.
And so that's how they pretty much ended it. They ended it there, sort of with like a moral kind of standpoint on it. Like, look, people are working shitty jobs, and this is going to help them out. Like, this would really help them out. And Crystal's right. And that's one of the beauties of a UBI system is you don't feel stuck. You know what I mean? You don't feel trapped. You can leave your shitty job. There's a lot of people, listen, there's a lot of people that are doing a job that they hate. There's a lot of people that are suffering through a job with an annoying boss, a racist boss, horrible employees, horrible work conditions. They're suffering through it, and they're pushing through it because they feel like they don't have a fucking choice. You literally feel trapped. And the UBI system would give them a little more power. Like, you know what? I don't gotta take this shit. Do you know what I mean? And is that asking for too much? Let's set the numbers aside for a second. We talked about the numbers in this video. You heard the numbers already. They were talking about it. Let's set the numbers aside. Is that too much to ask for? Just on a moral standpoint, to help people out. We fucking work and die. You get me? Most people work and die. You work most of your life, and then you retire at 60 something. That keeps going up. It keeps increasing, right? At the age you can retire, they keep pushing it back. So you work all your life till you're old and brittle and you fucking die? Give people something. Do something. Like, seriously? Do something. Just on a moral standpoint. This, like Joe Biden said on stage, this is America. You know what I mean? When they were talking about healthcare, this is America. You're right. This is America. To be quite honest, if we really wanted to get some shit done, if we really wanted to do it, we would fucking do it. Plain and simple. We can talk numbers, we can crunch numbers. If we really wanted to get it done, they can get it done. So, again, let me know in the comment section some of the rebuttals that you guys would have, because Krista was outnumbered there. And again, she held her own, but she didn't do any death blows. So when I'm having a UBI debate with other Bernie supporters, because I'm a Bernie supporter, and a lot of them are for the federal jobs guarantee. For me, I feel UBI is a better option. So when I'm talking to them, give me something to work on. Give me some substance to present to them. When I'm talking to Republicans, look, I got a Republican colleague. I was talking about Andrew Yang and UBI. Do you know what his response was? This is the God's honest truth. His response was, grow up. These people need to grow up. His response to Andrew Yang and UBI. So, again, Yang does good with a lot of Republicans. Both him and Bernie does. But I've seen the ones that don't fuck with it. And literally his response to Andrew Yang and UBI was, grow up. So, give me some ammo to use, man. Guys and gals. I'd really appreciate it. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't, let me know in the comment section why. I'm always down to talk about it. Hopefully I'll be talking to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.